Today I'm going to look at that VO9800 Sony broadcast quality 3/4 inch Umatic SP deck that I picked up for a song. I got it along with that Betacam SP broadcast machine. Today we're going to look at 3/4, see if it works, and see what I need to do to make it even better. And I found some old tapes that you guys might find very interesting, so do hang around because I have a surprise at the end. I got a bunch of 3/4 inch tapes. Oh, look, Charlie Bird live. I got a bunch of 3/4 inch tapes here, and this can only mean one thing. And that means it's time to look at this VO9800 that I just received. We're going to take a look at the connections on the back first, and just see what this does, what it has for inputs and outputs, and then we'll try it and see if it works. Hopefully it does. I know it powers on. That's the only thing I know, is that it powers on. If it doesn't work, then this will be a work in progress to get it working. But we're going to check it out today and actually see if it does anything. Fingers crossed it does more than just turns on, but I'm not holding my breath. On the back of this machine we have multiple connectors on the back. We have 2 video inputs with a 75 ohm terminator on or off. That's so you can loop through it and go off somewhere else and not have the termination. So one would be like an input and a loop through. When you're using it without something looped through, you turn that on. It has subcarrier in. That's for using it with an external time-based corrector. Sync in. RF off tape. What that's for is if you had this was being used as a playback machine and you were dubbing your tapes, you were editing to another machine, another 3/4 inch machine, you could take the RF directly off the tape without any processing and record it straight onto another tape. And it would be RF in on that machine. That way the color is not being demodulated or remodulated and demodulated again. It would just go straight to the other machine. Dub in and dub out work the same if you had a machine that had these multi-connector on the back. And of course video out. The one we're interested today, of course, is video out. Also on it, you've got time code in and out for external time code reader, and then monitor output, video and audio, which we can use these. The audio will give me a mono audio signal. The audio line out and line in are XLR connectors. So I'd have to use my adapter cables, which I have. I could use these if I want to get stereo. But if I just want to check it for picture and for sound, I can use the mono audio out, which actually is selectable on the front. But you can select channel 1, channel 2, or mix, and video. So these are the ones I'm going to connect to the monitor first. BNC connector for this, and just a straight audio in on the TV, and of course the power plug. So let's plug it in and see what it does. If anything, I might add. You might wonder what this connector is. This is a dedicated VTR connector for television monitors. It had that special, what was it, a 8-pin connector. So there was a monitors of the day had an input just like that, and you had a single cable that would transfer both video and audio in and out. So you could use the tuner on the television to record onto here. We used to use them like that when I worked at the cable station. We had monitors that had a tuner built in, and then we could connect them up to a 3/4 inch machine like this so that we could record from whatever was being tuned in on the TV. They used a lot of times for air check. So I noticed that there's screws missing on this machine, which kind of tells me that somebody's been into it. Wonder where that came from. Big belt was lying on my bench. Hope it didn't fall out of this machine. Maybe it fell out of it. Top cover, no screws in it. There's screws missing from the side as well, so hopefully it's all here. But it's only got 2 screws holding the side cover on instead of 4. Same with this other one. It's got 2 screws holding it on. The circuit board flips out by just turning that little release, and then it lifts up. Looks like there might have been another release missing, or a screw. Oh, the top cover screw went down there. Here's the drum. The head drum is here, and of course the cassette loader, and everything else looks to be. I'm looking to see if there's anything that I see that might be missing before I try anything. So first things first, we'll identify some components in this machine. Looks similar to how a Betacam and Betamax unit look, except for the tape runs the opposite direction. The tape runs right to left, and the head drum spins clockwise as opposed to counterclockwise. That being said, here's our erase head. The head next to it is actually for time code. It records a separate time code on a separate area of the tape, a linear time code. Then the tape is pulled around the head drum, and over on this side you've got your control track head and your audio head over here. And it's got 2 channels, so it's stereo audio. I'll turn on the power. You see the LED lights up. This uses LEDs to determine if the tape has become slack or broken. And tape end. So that light lights up. I'm going to grab a tape here. I'm going to find one that has garbage content on it, just in case it decides to eat. This is one I'm really interested in looking at. This was Jack Webster interviewing John Mayer. Now, that name might not ring a bell for a lot of people, but he was, well, he worked for I think it was the CIA. He was living in my neck of the woods, and there's a book about him now, so you can read that book. But you see, here he is here, and he was visited by the U.S. Democratic presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. at the time. This guy's been dead for years. Anyway, he was held in the Point Roberts jail on August 9th, 1973. But, see, he was given credit with bringing down the President of the United States, Richard Nixon. So this guy here, there's been a book written on him, and he did some interviews with Jack Webster, who was one of our most famous reporters out here on the West Coast. And I just so happened to have interviews with him on this tape, and I'm really interested in seeing these interviews. I've never seen this tape. I've had it for years. I've never seen it. I'm interested in seeing this tape. This is not going to be the tape that goes into this machine, though, just in case it's hungry. But I just found this tape. I got a stack of these tapes, and some of them have just promos on it, stuff, and other stuff's got interesting stuff. That one would be an interesting one to look at. I've got some promos for 21 Jump Street. Remember that TV show? I got some promos on here. Ampex tape, great. Is that Ampex? BCA 60. Probably an Ampex. Ampex made crap tape. Probably have to bake that one. But we're going to see in a minute whether this thing works. I'm keeping you guys all in suspense. So this is the tape that I've been using. It's probably got some hockey games on it. It says, it's a 60-minute tape. It says, creased at 42-minute mark. Final Four Provincial Countdown, North Delta versus South Delta, 4-4. They tied. March 1st, 1998. This will have minor hockey on it. I used to do a lot of minor hockey games. And a lot of them were mastered on a 3/4 inch and then duplicated from there. So this might be, and it says this tape's got a crease at 42 minutes, so this is what I would call not an important tape. Well, that part works. How about play? I got a picture. Typical 3/4 inch quality picture, I should add. Oh, the heads are clogging. We'll just fix that. Come on, heads. Come clean. There we go. Heads are clean now. Here's the problem with these garbage tapes. I'll play it. Okay, let's see if it'll track. Heads are a bit dirty. Let's just clear them out here. Fingernail to the head. Okay, here's where the tape. I had to cut out that bit there, but this is the type of stuff I did. I got to kind of talk over this because I don't want the Joe Satriani music at the beginning to affect it, but this is the type of stuff that I used to do. I used to do lots of this type of stuff back in the day. I did lots of minor hockey games. Probably one of the most, other than weddings and corporate videos, I did lots of minor hockey. Like, I was out, these games were all like early in the morning. I used to go shoot these before going and working at my job in the TV shop. I worked 9 o'clock to 6 o'clock in the TV shop. Let's see here. Does this have a time-based correct? It does. Will it turn on? I don't know if it works. It might need something external for this, but anyway, I used to skew. Skew might fix that. There we go. The skew control. You see? You got a skew control. That fixes that at the top. I used to do a lot of this stuff. So you might even see some names show up in here that are famous these days. I don't know. But I know lots of the names on here because, well, I knew the coaches, and I knew a lot of the kids that played. Their own kids played on them. But I knew a lot of the coaches, and I got hired to do a lot of these games. But I used to say I wouldn't say every morning. Yeah, pretty much. I was out the door a lot of times at good old 3/4 inch clogging the heads. This is a problem with these tapes, is their tapes are breaking down because they're so old. And this tape was not a new tape to start with. was an old tape that I got that came from Rogers, I think, at the time. They gave me a bunch of old tapes. But I think that's Rogers. Yeah, it's Rogers that had that when it was Rogers cable system. Before it was Shaw, I might add. And now it's gone back to Rogers again. Problems with 3/4 inches. You see the flag waving here. I mean, 3/4 inch just was not a great format. It was the first of the. It was better than VHS, but you get a lot of ringing. You see a lot of ringing in the picture there, and but anyway, yeah. See, I can show this. I'm putting this on just because this is my content. I can show this without any fear of any repercussions. So that's why we're looking at this tape as this machine plays. But I scored a winner here. This one here, it works. Oh, there's a tracking control. I didn't even try it. Let's try the tracking control. Yeah. And for tracking on this, I think there's a meter button on here. Is there a button for meter? For tracking? No, I guess not. Time code. And counter. I'm just looking at all the gadgets and bells and whistles on here. I know that the front panel opens up on here too. Let me just go back to the machine, because I can just let this thing play as it plays. But yeah, it's well, that was there. I got my money's worth right there. Not that it cost me anything. It cost me nothing. But I got a good functional machine. It's got a jog shuttle dial. Now, what happens if I do that? No time-based corrector. Time-based corrector on when you search. So this has a time-based corrector built in. Let's just go back to play. Time-based corrector off. Time-based corrector on. Oh, and now of course my heads are going to clog. Of course they are, because this tape is that shape. TBC off and TBC on. Probably don't know as much of any of the difference. But if I jog it backwards, time-based corrector on, you get that, turn it off, and it goes away. Time-based corrector on forward, off, on. Doesn't make much difference. Except for this tape. Oh my gosh. I hope the Jack Webster interviews are better. I don't know if I can get away with showing any of that though, because although I've got this tape, so I mean this is history. I'm gonna watch it because it's going to be good. It's going to be good. Now this is standard Umatic. This was recorded on my, I think it's an ND9200 that I was using. So this would have been recorded on my Panasonic 9200, which is not a Umatic SP machine. It's just a regular machine, so it's not SP. This has a light that comes on when it's an SP, and this is an SP machine, and I do have some SP tapes, so I could actually do some test recordings, which I will, in SP, because SP had a much better picture. All that ringing that you see around there is, I think, should be gone in SP, if I remember correctly. It was a huge improvement on the picture, because SP was like SVHS and Betacam SP. Well, Betacam SP just stood for superior performance, but it recorded at a higher frequency, more like SVHS, and it could take advantage of separate Luma and Chroma using those dub connectors on the back. So on the front, we've got Dolby noise reduction on or off. There's no Dolby on this tape, so we turn it off. And there's a time-based corrector off and on. And the heads are clogging yet again, so we'll just do the old fingernail. See, when I was on the air with machines like this, we used to keep the tops off them so that if the tape clogged on the air, we're watching the tape, and if it clogged on the air, we would just go in and back of the fingernail, clear it up on air, because we'd get tapes that would do that. Even when the tapes weren't that old, we used a lot of 3/4. When I was in the business, when I was working for the cable station, we were using 1 inch, and then we made the migration to 3/4. The 3/4 machine that I've got, the NV9200, that was actually one of the machines that we had at the cable station that I worked at. On here, head's just clogged yet again. This tape's not in very good shape. It needs to be baked big time. But when that happened on air, you would just go, and people wouldn't even know. It was faster than taking the tape out and cleaning it. Otherwise, we'd have to put our please stand by slide up, cue up a record, take the tape out, clean the heads, put the tape back in, cue it back up, and then go back on. And of course, once you cleaned it, you had to wait for it to dry. And now I got nothing because my heads are clogged. Oops. Bad tape. Real bad tape. This panel should open. If I release some catches here, show you how this opens. This does pull open on this thing. I know it does. You push these down, and this opens up. And under here, there are time code, U-bit, or time code. A drop frame or no drop frame. Just a switch for the time code, whether you're writing user bits or time code. So if I switch this to, how do I switch it? Time code should just say, yeah, there's no user bits here set at all, but there is time code, and then that's control. Head's clogged yet again, but that's all that's under here. It's just a switch to switch that between time code and user bits, and of course the time code module. And that is all that's under here. So now we can somehow flip this back down. You could have it at different positions. So sometimes operators felt that, you never had it like that, obviously, but most operators would either have it sitting like this, depending on where it was. If it was on a lower shelf and you were using this, or like that, just because it made getting to the controls easier because it was angled as opposed to them being up and down. That's what that does, and then you can close it right up by just doing that. And once again, the heads have clogged. Ah, the fun of old media, I tell you. When I use this machine for archiving, I'll be spending a lot of time clearing heads, I'll tell you that much. When I'm doing conversions, I have to stop, right? I have to stop, clean the heads, cue it back, and then pick up again. So it adds extra time. That's why when I'm doing tape conversions, I charge more for these older formats when you have to spend a lot of time. Or you bake the tapes. You put the tapes in an oven at like 130 degrees Fahrenheit for like 4 to 6 hours. Here's the skew control I was telling you about. What that does is that changes the tape tension. I wonder if we can see where it's doing it. Okay, if I move the skew arm, watch what happens. It's just adjusting the back tension. That's what skewing does. It adjusts the back tension. On your VHS and Betamax machines and 8mm, you couldn't adjust that. It was set at the factory, and you could not adjust it. This is in effect changing the tension on the spring that pulls on the back tension. So we are putting less tension on now. If I pull it this way, the tension goes up. If I pull it that way, the tension goes down because it's pulling this way. So higher tension, lower tension. And what that did was change the tension of the tape. The tape tension would affect, because these tapes have a tendency to stretch a bit, it would affect the angle that the tape went around the head drum. At the top portion mostly. That's why when your tension is too high, it skews off to the left. If I get a shot of the screen, you'll see again. So if I skew, see the top edge of the tape, the top of the picture? That's what skewing does. And probably even more so if the TBC is off. Might not affect it much. TBC is off there, and now the TBC is on. TBC off. TBC on. But again, skewing, it'll, even with the TBC on, it'll bend if the tension's too high. So ultimately you want to have enough tension, but not too much. Because at tape tension, of course, higher tension will increase your RF output. Some of the other things I want to see that work on the machine, and we will be doing a test recording. Hit stop, the tape is going to unload to a partial load. That's so that it can still read the control track. If I hit fast forward, the tape gets really ripping along here. Now the tape is actually traveling right to left. Unlike the other formats, Beta, Betacam, VHS, 8mm, audio cassettes, reel-to-reel, every other format of video or audio tape, the tape starts on the left side and it plays to the right side. But someone had a sick sense of humor when they designed the Umatic system. The tapes all spool from the right to the left. If you look down here, I'm in fast forward. You can see the tape is getting smaller on this side of the reel. And that's because this is the supply spool and this is the take up on the left. So it's backwards. This thing's kind of slowing down too. I wonder if the oxide on the tape is starting to stick. I mean, these tapes, this is a tape that I'm sure sticky shed syndrome would affect this one for sure. Go back into play. Of course the heads clog. Oh, they really clogged. I can hear the tape sticking. Can you hear it? It's sticking to the heads. You hear the howling? Junk tape. Let me clean the heads on the machine. We'll just eject the tape. We'll clean and see how much crap's come off this tape. Again, and I'm sure this is an Ampex tape. Is this Ampex? I don't know. It might be Ampex. Let me clean the transport. So I'm going to concentrate just on the audio and the control and the erase head here, because this is what the tape was in contact with when I was running it. And these guides, everything else when I was in fast forward, the tape was not in contact with them. But I could hear the squeaking sound as it was going over these heads. And yeah, there's some crap on here, that's for sure. This one rolls, but there's a stationary guide back here the tape is in contact with. See how fast forward works now. Error. That's no good. Let's try ejecting the tape. There we go. Must have been some residue still on when I cleaned it. It wasn't completely dry. But it's fast forwarding now, moving along at a good clip. I do think, however, it should be going faster than this, so we may have a slipping belt or either. I grabbed the tape. Yeah, there's a fair amount of torque on there, so it's just the tape sticking because of the sticky shed crap. The belts that need to be replaced on these when they wear out is there's a loading belt down there, and there's another belt on here, and I think there's might be a drive belt on the bottom. It's a loading belt elevator for this, and there's a fast forward rewind tire and a loading ring and a fast forward rewind belt. So there's 3 belts and a tire that typically need to be replaced on these machines when they wear out. The tire is down under here. To get to the tire, just to show you guys where it is, they're super easy to get to on these machines. I've serviced one of these before. You just take out, like all the pro gear, you take out 2 screws. Lift out the loader. They call it the elevator. There's 1 belt there, and this is unplugged. There's a plug on the back of this, so we can just unplug this elevator, just like that. Here's a tire down here that needs to be replaced from time to time, and there's a loading belt over here, and then there's another belt underneath. It's the fast forward belt that drives this. I'm going to just give this a little shot of rubber renew while I'm in here, just to give it a refresh. And don't use rubber renew on pinch rollers unless they're old reel-to-reel machines that are all falling apart. This will just soften up the edge, take off any shine on it, and hopefully give it some more life. You can see the crap that's coming off there, just the oxidation. Give that a bit of a clean, and then we'll see how the tape fast forwards and rewinds. It's working okay now, but clean the idler up a bit and it will probably do better. Put the elevator back in. That's what they call this. They call this the elevator, by the way. We call it the front loading mechanism. But in the broadcast world, it's called an elevator. And plug it in. I see a date code there, 3/12/7/93, December 7th. And then the top goes back on. Just sits in there like that. Held down by 2 screws. Because you can't have these machines go down and stay down when they're used in a broadcast operation. And these machines were used in broadcast for years. Until Betacam took over, which it did, but 3/4 inch was very well established for news gathering. So there was a lot of archives and stuff that were on 3/4 inch that stayed there, and they kept these machines running for a long time. Let's see how fast forward works now. Oh yeah, that's going faster. Back to play. I'm sure the heads are clogged again on it. Of course the heads are clogged. That's a given with this crap tape. Reminds me of some of the Sony's 8mm tapes that clog the heads after every 5 minutes when they start to break down too. Typically the high grade tapes. It's crap. I tell you, I didn't even get 2 minutes. And we gotta clear the clogged head yet again. I hope that Jack Webster tape plays better than this. Should we try it? Let's rewind this one. This disaster. Rewind this one back to the beginning. I'll see if that interesting tape plays. And then again, I'm going to hook this up and we'll record something on it. As you can see, there's no time code on this tape, but it just starts reading random stuff. Oops, where are we here? That's the control, hours, minutes, seconds, but time code would read hours, minutes, seconds, because a lot of times time code was to the station clock, which there isn't anything on here, so it just reads the control track. Started at 0 and started counting down from 24 hours when I hit rewind. Again, that's really time code. If you've got time code on the tape, or if you're using station time code, that's what that's for. Now remember, I just cleaned this machine, what, 5 minutes ago? Is it contaminated again from tape? Is it sticking? This is the one I'm real interested in, though. If it will even play. Good old Jack Webster. Well, this is a really bad quality tape. Man, this is bad, this tape. It's so bad. This will be a very interesting tape, I tell you.
He, that's Meyer, was called to testify of his knowledge in the Watergate scandal. The U.S. authorities say he still owes them more than $1 million in unpaid income taxes. He served 18 months in the United States for the obstruction of justice. He claims he was given a shortcut to Canadian citizenship. He claims he acted for the CIA in Canada, involving payments to Canadian politicians.
This is the greatest, probably the greatest reporter that we've ever seen in broadcast, at least in my lifetime, as far as investigative reporting goes. He used to listen to him every day on the radio, and then he went on TV, and his show was on every day for an hour at 9 a.m. precisely. We used to watch him every single day. A fantastic show.
Before we come to what happened to you in jails down there, or what's going to happen in the trial, you were a man who made much noise about the activities of the CIA in this country. Is that not so?
Yes, quite a few years ago.
What did you tell me in 1974 about the activities of the CIA?
Well, in 74, as you know, I was interviewed on your show the day that Richard Nixon resigned. And I told you at that time a lot of things pertaining to the Central Intelligence Agency that are just coming out now in the past few years. And I told you at that time how they were operating illegally out of Canada.
Another neat feature on this, you've got jog shuttle. So if you're in play, hit shuttle, and you can shuttle the tape. You push, it becomes jog. So now it's frame by frame. This is for editing, right? So you could edit right down to the frame. And if you had the edit controller, you could do this from the edit controller and Control 2 machines. A lot of times these machines were used as feeders to feed into other equipment. For example, the 3/4 inch, the small mini 3/4 inch tapes, which I have some of those because I have a VO9800 as well, would go into here, the 20-minute tapes, and then these were used and they were bumped up to usually to 1 inch at the time because that was what they used for broadcast. So they would use a machine like this as a playback machine and then dub it up to 1 inch or dub it to 3/4, and then when Betacam came along, dubbing over, up dubbing to Betacam as well. Until the Betacam cameras got out in the field, because a lot of stations, they were slow at upgrading. They just bought a lot of 3/4 inch equipment for ENG stuff back in the 70s, and then Betacam comes along in like 83, and a lot of stations, were not upgrading their equipment right away. They were upgrading it slowly. So these machines saw a lot of use for a number of years, even though they were completely obsolete at that point. Still,
actually in
works great.
78 the charges were laid. And,
this is an interesting tape that I've got here. I remember when this aired on the Webster show. It was interesting then, and it's even more interesting now.
I was extradited out of here in 1979.
I have a memory, now you tell me if I'm wrong, whereby somebody spirited you across the border on an earlier occasion, and you were hidden in U.S. jails under various names for some months.
Yes, that was in August, on August the 9th of 1973. That was just at the time I was appearing at the Watergate committees. I was living in Tawasin. I was not a fugitive. I'm living in the same home that I bought at that time.
Well, you did get immunity from Judge Sirica in case anybody was after you, but to go down to the Watergate committee so that nobody could harass you or pick you up for any little... John Meyer, what were your activities? Do you reckon you've been framed on a number of affairs by the United States authorities?
On a number of occasions.
Number of occasions. What did you do that caused them to have such a hate against you?
Well, it comes two areas. One is the fact that I knew too much about a lot of illegal activities that were done in the United States by the Central Intelligence Agency while I was with Mr. Howard Hughes and later on.
So here's a few tapes I've been given. I think that camera that made this recording, you think it needs a bit of servicing? Look at that registration error. It's a three tube camera. Look at the registration error on that camera. Oh my God. And somebody actually recorded something with this. That's an embarrassment. This is obviously a tape that I can erase. This is what they call disposable content. I'm just going through some of these tapes. I'm going to find one and I'm going to make a recording on it, and we'll see how it looks. This tape, it looks to be in better shape. Not dropping its oxide like those Ampex tapes. Ampex were horrible. This is actually an Eastman Professional, Kodak Eastman Professional tape that I'm playing now. I think this unit, I probably will order some belts for it, and maybe the idler. Although it is working, it's rewinding. But what I've noticed is with the heavier load of tapes, like these are 60-minute tapes, tape's a little bit heavier. The mechanism itself is having a little more of a challenge to eject the tape. See what I mean? Help it up. That tape's okay. Going through all these tapes that were given to me, all medical stuff. Wonder what's going to be on this one. That one was how to put a patient on a dialysis machine. Wonder what's on these tapes. these were not mine. These were just given to me, these tapes. In fact, the customer that has the reel-to-reel that I just worked on, when they brought their reel-to-reel over, said, "Here, I've got these tapes. You can have them." I don't know where they got them from, but interesting to see what's on them, that's for sure.
Remain
See what I mean? It just...
as the insertion site for dialysis. We recently reported at the American Society of Nephrology in December 1986 our long-term investigation of stenoses.
I think this is another tape I can erase. Rewind is really struggling. I don't think it's the idler. I think it's the rewind fast forward belt, which is in the bottom. So we're going to open this up and see whether we can improve this. So let's pull the bottom off it and check the belt. The feet have been taken off this because obviously it was rack mounted. That might be why there's screws missing from the side too. There may have been a rack mount on here. But the rubber feet certainly have been removed, which is typical for equipment that's rack mounted. We pop off the bottom and this board should swing out of the way. Yeah, I think it swings down on this one. There's just two brackets, and this should expose the drive belt for fast forward rewind. Always got to get that one screw in the middle. I wonder how many times people didn't miss that and they pulled the board down and snapped the board in two. Okay, it's a direct drive capstan, direct drive drum, and I have to lift this out. There's the belt there. This is the drive belt for fast forward and rewind, and I'm going to try cleaning that. We'll clean that one off with a bit of isopropanol. The belt is not stretching, just appears to be a bit slippery. See how that, see if it makes it any stronger. Those are there's three belts, so I just want to try to avoid getting them if I don't have to. If I can clean them off and make them work better, then I'm going to do that. Because this machine is not one that's going to see tons and tons of use. I get 3/4 inch tapes a couple times a year. Although now with a better playback machine, I might even be seeing some more, as I'm certainly starting to see some more Betacam tapes. So if I can make these belts a little stronger just by cleaning them up a bit, then I'm going to do it. Slide the timecode board back in, and we'll give it another try and see how it works with rewind. And if that works okay, I'll do the same for the elevator belt. It's not worn out completely, but it's starting to show its age. And in case you guys are wondering about the Betacam machine, that'll get its own video. I'm having too much fun with this one right now, giving it its full check over. And we're just getting started. There's still a fair bit of work to do to maintain this machine. I did find a tape too that I am going to show, and I think you'll find it very interesting, and I might even digitize it and put it up as a separate video. It's a promotional video for this very machine from Sony, and I didn't even know I had it. Not just this machine, but the entire family of these machines. Done by Sony. I don't know where I got this tape. It was given to me because I had worked in production. A bunch of the guys that I knew that I'd worked with and started their own company, they've all since retired, and they just gave me a lot of their old stuff and a lot of old tapes. And that's where a lot of the stuff came from. Probably the guy I got the VO9800 from. I can just visualize the comments right now about how consumer equipment should have been built like this. And I agree. I agree that consumer equipment should have been built like this. But it wasn't. And the reason why it wasn't was because, well, the cost. Consumer equipment was made to sell for a price point. Broadcast equipment you could name your price. There was very little competition. I mean, really, who did you have? You had Panasonic, you had Sony, and RCA. And I don't even think JVC was that relevant. JVC and Toshiba made some equipment, but a lot of it basically was down to the big three. Okay, let's see how it fast forwards this time and rewinds. And then we'll deal with the elevator. So fast forward. Moving along pretty good. As you can see how fast the reels are turning there. Now we'll go to rewind. That would be the tape making that noise, I'm sure. Yeah, that's the tape. It's actually not the tape, it's the tape hub, but we'll deal with that shortly. Elevator belt slipping a bit. I could probably clean that as well and make that a little better. Looks like I have a new elevator belt here, or one that's the right size. So we'll throw this one on. There. That should solve that problem. Okay, how's it ejecting now? A little better. This belt was kind of shiny and worn. It might I might be able to boil that one and bring that one back. It's not stretchy or anything, it's kind of stiff. So sometimes boiling will fix those, so I might try that. Okay, time to do a test recording. I have an SP tape here too, I should just try that. I don't know if there's anything on it, so I'll just throw this SP tape in. I have a couple of SP tapes, because these ones are regular tapes. Now you can tell the differences. The SP tapes have an extra hole, right? I have a detection hole there and another one there. And that's how the machine detects that it's an SP tape. So that's, I don't know if there's anything on this tape. But we'll try this one. There might be something on it, but this is an SP, so we'll give this one a try and see what's on this. Looks like it's rewound all the way to the beginning, so there might not be anything on this tape. It might be a blank tape completely. And if it is, then we'll make a recording on it and show off the highest quality that this machine is capable of delivering. And right now, it looks to be blank. Excellent. So I'm going to grab a source and we'll hook this thing up and make a test recording. Okay, I'm going to start recording. So hit record and play. I'll start out and record some color bars, and then I'll probably record my aquarium that I've got on a memory card on this media player. As that's about the highest quality I think I can put on here. So I'll just record color bars for maybe 30 seconds or so. It's interesting to see how, look at the ringing you get on the picture even with color bars passing through it. Fair bit of ringing in that picture. But that's 3/4 inch, and this is an SP tape, which is supposed to be the highest quality. I'll record it with Dolby on it as well. Okay. I'll let this record for a few minutes. I don't know if I can play this audio. Probably not, but so on the machine, we got our servo lock light, our play light, and our record light is lit up. Audio level control here. Skew is set to the middle. This is a brand new Sony KSP30 Umatic SP tape. this one's never been recorded on, so this is the first recording on this tape. Even though the tape is old as the hills, it's never had a recording made on it. So this should show us the type of quality that we could expect off of one of these SP machines, recording on a tape that hasn't been passed through the system 1,000 times. A little bit of history for you history buffs. The Umatic, or 3/4 inch format, was developed in 1970. That's when the first Umatic machines hit the market. And the SP version, this one, that hit the market in 1986. So this machine here, I'm going to guess, is probably from, well, the late 80s or early 90s. And then, of course, it was pretty much replaced by Betacam in about 83, I think, was when Betacam and then Betacam SP followed a year or two later. But, so this could be anywhere from 86, I think is when I said this one was. Yeah, 86. So the Betacam SP was actually already out by this point in time, because Betacam hit the market in 83. SP, I believe, was 86, the same year that this would have come out. So this would have been used by TV stations that had already committed to 3/4 inch at that time, and was one of the last formats. They had some editing equipment. They had an editor to go with this. This was the playback machine. No flying erase heads on this one, but they did have an editing machine as well that would have been used in smaller market stations that were using 3/4 inch. And then it ultimately got replaced by Betacam because, well, Betacam performs much better than even this one did, even though the SP should have a picture that is full broadcast type quality. It's still a composite format, whereas Betacam was a component format. And the difference between them is, on a composite format such as this, the video and chroma are laid down at the same time. The color is converted down in frequency, just like it is on Betamax and 8mm and VHS. It uses the same down converted frequency that Betamax used, which is 688 kilohertz. The FM bandwidth, though, because it's a much larger head drum and faster writing speed, can exceed that of what the Beta could. On the other hand, Betacam SP and regular Betacam used a dedicated pair of heads to record the chroma separately on a separate video track from the luminance. So that was a full component recording as opposed to a composite. And that is where the 1/2 inch Betacam format reigned superior. It had much better color reproduction and much higher color bandwidth. You notice there's two red LEDs. There's one down here. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but there's a red LED down there. There's another one right here. And then what they do is they shine through the tape, or attempt to shine through the tape. There's a sensor right above it here. What that's for is if the tape becomes slack. In other words, if the take-up stops, the tape will drop. When the tape drops, the light shines through from the LED to the phototransistor, which will stop the machine and put it into emergency stop. And it has one for both the supply and the take-up. I've just been recording here now for about 30 minutes. I'm just letting the tape completely fill. So I've got one full recording of this aquarium, my aquarium, on this Umatic SP tape. There's a mirror right along here. So there's little lights here that illuminate the tape so that you can see it. See how much tape remains without having to take the top off it to see it. You can see it right through the front. So when the clear leader passes over the optical sensor here, it should stop it. There it goes. And now it should rewind back to the beginning, which it is. The media player, but take threads, and there's the color bars. Actually, they look pretty good. Time-based corrector off. Time-based corrector on. Like all 3/4 inch, so you get this bit of between the colors. You can probably see it showing up there on screen. Got all those dropouts at the beginning of that tape. Brand new tape and it's got dropouts. Now on Umatic tapes, there's this little red tab. If you want to protect the tape from getting erased, you just remove that tab and the tape won't be, you can't record on it. And then you can put it back in if you want to record. And there's the playback. Don't worry, that's a bit of digital breakup on the source file. That looks pretty good to me. In fact, it's really hard to tell the difference between the original and that recording. Now, granted, this TV is not a high definition set, but still, if you looked at the source looks about the same as we're seeing here. In other words, it looks excellent. Go one frame at a time, and reverse one frame at a time. Oh, I remember editing on these machines so well. We had the Panasonic 9200 and 9250 or 92, was it 9800? 9200 was one. I forget the NV. It might have been an NV 9800, maybe 9250 or 9850. Anyway, I forget. It was an editor, but it was a top loader, and I've got the NV 9200, the other one. And then we got these. But they weren't the SP machines, because the SP machines didn't come out until after I had left. They were regular. They were regular Sony machines, but they were top loaders. They weren't this one. I forget the model number offhand, but we had Panasonic and then we had Sony top loader editing with the edit controller, but they edited exactly the same as this. Anyway, this one's looking good. So this was the score. This one. No failure on this unit. Sound is there. Audio channel 1, audio channel 2, mix. This one is working about as good as I could expect it to work, which means it's working perfect. Except for that bracket. That is likely the tape hub, actually. Well, that was a tape, but I bet it's the tape hub on this side. So maybe we'll just see if we can lubricate that while I'm at it, while I've got it apart. So once again, I'll pop out the cassette housing. This should just lift out by removing the screw. Maybe lubricate the bearing below here if I can. Take out that screw. Lift this up. Put a little bit of oil on this. And there are rotation sensors on here too. There they are. They're optical. But those other ones would be the tape end sensors and tape slack. Maybe this one I'll just put a bit of drop. I don't want to pull this one apart just because I got the back tension band and everything on it. But if I pull this one off, I might be able to drop a bit of lubricant down the hole there into the bearing. Get it down into the bearing, right down there. That should go down. I think it will go down there. And then we'll put that tape in again and just see if it quietened down on rewind. I don't want any excess oil that could get onto the tape. Fast forward for a bit and I'll rewind this tape and see if it's quiet. Ah, that's better. Much better. And fast. Okay. Now I'm happy. This machine's 100%. I just found one of these other SP tapes and I had no idea what was on it because I wasn't unable to play it. Because my other machine's not an SP machine, and I didn't know what was on this tape, and I just played it. It's got something from Sony on it, from 1989. This could be interesting. This could be really, really interesting. I'm curious as to what's on this tape. I know you guys are too. So let's see. Let's see what's on this tape. I may have to put this up as a separate video, but I will show it on the screen right now. And I'm sure I can probably play this. Only one audio channel. It is in
1972. Sony introduced an epic-making video cassette recorder, the Umatic. Since then, Sony's Umatic has been used in virtually every conceivable video application, establishing the concept of video communication in a broad spectrum.
I love it.
Here at the service center, many Umatics are awaiting their regular maintenance. Like anything, a VTR must be well maintained to ensure the best quality. Some of them have been in use for over 10 years, which goes to show that the Umatic VTR has been the choice of professionals for a long time. The reasons are simple: high quality picture and audio, high reliability, and its format.
Eccentricity, or no, eccentricity gauge, that's what I had. I had one of those for doing the eccentricity. You gotta do eccentricity on these and Betacam and the original Betamax. Those are the machines we had at the station I worked at.
Universal acceptance among professional users. From program production to distribution, the Umatic is capable of fulfilling all the various VTR requirements.
Love it.
And now for 1989, a new generation of Umatic with format interchangeability and remarkably improved picture and sound quality. It is Sony's response to the needs of the time.
1989.
Of its ongoing
that's when this machine, that's this one they're looking at here.
Sony's accumulated video and audio know-how is embodied in the design of the new VO series, and we're calling it the Type 9 Production VTR. pictures ensure high-quality multi-generation thanks to SP technology and precision editing with a timecode feature. SP technology provides significantly improved picture quality, yielding higher resolution, reduced luminance and chrominance rating, and a high SN ratio. Even a third-generation recording shows as good a picture quality as a conventional first-generation one. For SP recording, the KSP cassette must be used, while for SP playback, the VTR will automatically select that mode. All current Umatic cassettes can be played back on the VTR. C noise reduction dramatically improves audio quality. Its adoption of the send-dust head also contributes to reduced crosstalk and improved pickup performance. What's more, XLR connectors enable connection of other professional audio equipment. In answer to the demand for more accurate and efficient editing, there's timecode capability. Optional timecode boards must be used, but they are easily installed.
This one has it.
The BKU705 is a timecode generator reader for the VO9850, and the BKU704 is a reader for both the VO9850 and 9800.
Yeah, that's what this one's got, the 704.
The timecode is an absolute address on the tape and is used as reference for editing points and for identifying video cassettes. It speeds up editing point search and greatly improves editing efficiency. Today, the timecode system has become the unanimous choice in professional video applications. The VO9850 high-performance VTR offers full editing capability. Besides assemble editing, independent editing of video and audio is possible in the Insert Edit mode. The VO9800, a high-performance recorder, serves as a feeder when configured into an editing suite with a VO9850 and RM450. The jog and shuttle dial enables extremely fast and precise picture search. The quick and smooth response of the search dial is due to a unique computer-controlled servo system. In the shuttle mode, search is conducted at up to 8 times the normal speed. And the jog mode enables frame-by-frame access to the desired picture. As you can see, the jog and shuttle dial improves editing efficiency to a significant degree. In combination with the RM450, the new Umatic offers accurate and efficient editing using the timecode system. A simple connection with the 9-pin remote cable provides remote control and timecode communication between VTRs and the RM450. The BKU703 33-pin editing interface board allows both the VO9850 and 9800 to accommodate the RM440 editing control unit. This system offers the higher editing performance professional users demand. The VO9800 is a new generation SP portable Umatic for the field. A high-quality editing source equipped with SP technology and separate YC camera inputs. Connected to the DXC M7 video camera, it offers 60-minute continuous operation on 2 MP1A batteries and continues operating when one of the batteries is removed for replacement. The VO9800 adopts SP Umatic technology and offers outstanding recording quality. Further enhancing picture quality is the YC separate input capability, which reduces cross-color. XLR connectors are
I remember having to do voiceovers just like that guy, putting on my radio announcer's voice.
Headphone enables audio monitoring. There's also timecode versatility. All you have to do is plug in the optional BKU706 timecode generator into the VTR. Start-stop button.
Whoops. I bumped a button there. Oh, can't do that.
Editing capability is provided. Smooth scene transitions are ensured.
This tape is definitely a keeper, this one. I'll be sure to take that record tab out on this.
Camera viewfinder, as well as simultaneous monitoring of the picture during recording. To ensure reliable recording, the VO9800 provides warnings 3 ways. With a warning lamp and the LCD on the front panel. LED indicators on the camera viewfinder. And through audible tones from the headphone. For simple remote control, there's the optional RM770 unit. SP technology for high-quality multi-generation, Dolby C for enhanced audio quality, and the versatility of the timecode system. All in a compact package offering superior performance from acquisition to editing. For exceptional video and audio quality, it's certain to become the new choice of professionals. The new generation SP Umatic, only from Sony.
Well, I did not expect that tape to have, I did not expect to have that. I have never seen this tape before. That was an interesting find. I'm going to hang on to that one. Maybe I'll digitize this and put up the original rather than just shoot it off the screen for you guys that might want to see it. But that was an interesting find, that one. Now, I haven't been able to figure out this this menu on here. Oh, there we go. That's how to do it. I have to push the jog dial in. Okay. Setup menu. Character position. Can I do this? How do I do this? Okay, character size, small, off. Enhanced. Oh, cool. Oh, there we go. Hold down the data button while doing it. The next menu option on here is character size, small. Enhanced, setup guide, enhanced. Error status, none. Hour meter. Okay, so the drum has, look at that, it's got a lot of hours on this. 15,358 hours on the drum on this thing here. Hour meter on the machine itself, it's got the same number of hours. Interesting. Still timer set for 8 minutes. Pre-roll time 5 seconds. Pinch on delay 9. Step forward. Tape protection mode, step forward. Noise is still on. Okay, so I guess that's the settings. Now if I flip out of this, there, now we have the time code or the display on the screen. So if I rewind this tape, this is control track, it's 13 minutes in, but this tape was recorded with time code. So it's reading the time code off the tape. Back to control. So that's that, and then to get that off the screen, I just have to go back to menu and go back to where it says noise was still. I'll leave noise was still on, but I'm going to turn character position off. What's character position 15? I wonder what that does. What does that show me? Where does that move it to? Moves it down there. Aha! So you can move it up and down the screen. It gets in various different places. If I were to go and say select character position 11, it's going to put it almost in the middle of the screen. There you go. That's what that does. Okay, so I don't want the data on there. I just turn it to 0 or turn it to off. And save that. Alright, I think that about does it for this one. We've seen how this works. I'm going to label this tape accordingly so that I don't erase it, and I'll knock out the security or the record tab on this because this is definitely one to keep. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.